Hello, my name is Isaiah Arredondo, and I will be presenting to you my interpersonal communication final presentation. For the assignment, I chose a marriage story. This is my video overview. What is happening? A husband and a wife are having an emotional conversation. The conflict is over marital status. Infidelity has occurred. In the opening seconds of the scene, a lot of communication problems occur. These are the ones that I noticed. Criticism. The wife criticizes the husband and states, "You're being so much like your father." Then the husband follows by stating, "You are exactly like your mother." Those criticism remarks toward each other is what's called an escalatory spiral. They matched each other's tone, basically. When the wife said something, the husband didn't like it, so then he repeated with the same tone towards her. Another problem that occurred was an evaluation. The husband goes on to say a few seconds later, "You are all the bad things about all these people." He did go ahead and judge her, so that is considered an evaluation. I do have some food for thought. Avoid using criticism. Use an I statement and express yourself. Use a de-escalatory spiral tone of words when you're talking to somebody. Also, an evaluation statement can be hurtful. Be careful before you judge somebody. Besides the criticism, the escalatory spiral, and the evaluation, there were still some more communication problems that occurred throughout the video. I noticed that it was a toxic communication climate, right? So the criticism and the evaluation, very toxic, but then also too, kind of name calling and bullying. "You're a slob," the husband says, and the wife follows, "You're a villain." So very, very, toxic. No relationship should be having those names being thrown out or those judgments. Also, an emotional intelligence I chose because it was very low on both the husband and the wife. They lacked to manage their own emotions and they were not sensitive toward the other partner's feelings. I feel like the scene kind of closes with them making up and apologizing and hugging and embracing each other. So I felt like that was just tension because they might want to still be together. Never seen the video, but that's how I felt. So some more food for thought is to empathize with each other. I feel like when you could put yourself in someone else's shoes, you'll not say what's at the top of your mind. You might be more uh, you might regress and say things more lighter and might not say the uglier things. Emotional intelligence, I think, takes practice and it's not impossible. Marital conversations are tough, but it's not tough to control our emotions and to be sensitive to others' feelings. We just have to apply these things and practice them. Fixing the conversation. That was a very tough video to watch. It was an ugly conversation to have, but I felt like if there's any way to fix a conversation, it's obviously through I statements, apologizing, such as my example. "I am sorry. I apologize for having an affair. I was a young, hotshot director, and instead of enjoying my life, I decided to get married, even though I didn't want to be married. There was so much I didn't do in my 20s. It's because I loved you." The husband could have said that instead of being so dramatic and being so toxic and criticizing and evaluating. I feel like this is really what he wanted to say. Going for the wife now, felt like hers was a little bit less toxic, but also too she could have been a little bit better with her words of choice, such as, "I wanted to be married, but I don't know if you loved me as much as I loved you. I noticed you become selfish that you don't identify it anymore." So I'm still making an evaluation statement, but I'm using an I statement. So it's how I feel, but also too I'm not being toxic, being expressive. Lessons learned. Listening. Marital conversation can become difficult, but a misconception of communication is more communication isn't always better. Instead of talking more, listen more. Communication use rational listening, also mindful listening. I also believe equality. I feel like all relationships should have a supportive communication style. We need to be able to respect not just the sender, but also the receiver's point of view. The rational maintenance, I feel like that's a natural if you could just focus on listening and have equality with one another, then a relationship will operate smoothly and satisfactorily. Thank you.